class. Today we will be learning about heat stroke. So before I get started on the lesson, does anyone know what heat stroke might be? Any ideas in general?
Feeling sick because you're hot, feeling super hot.
Yeah, that's a good one. Anyone else? Feeling sick? Yeah, that's pretty much it.
Like you want to faint?
Yeah, alright. So that's what it is, and the objective of today's lesson on heat stroke is to be able to effectively prevent heat stroke, identify the early symptoms, and if it comes to that, treat it. So heat stroke is when, it's pretty much like you said, it's you get overheated because the sun has warmed you up. It's like probably on a really hot day, and you get really hot and it starts warming up your internal body temperature, and eventually, if it gets really bad, your internal organs can start to stop functioning, and it can be pretty bad. It can be a bad situation. Like in extreme cases, it can result in like coma, death, seizures. But we don't need to worry. We don't want to worry about that because I am going to teach you guys how to stop it from even getting to that point. So, start off, I'll just start with the symptoms of heat stroke. So like when you're out there, if you start having any of these symptoms, you're going to immediately want to get in and get out of the sun because you might be experiencing heat stroke. So, one of the most definitely popular and obvious signs of heat stroke is when you start feeling nauseous and wanting to throw up when you're out there and it's a hot day. That's a really big telltale sign of heat stroke. And another one is muscle weakness. That's also, these ones are pretty much muscle weakness, fatigue, and nausea. Those are the really common ones. And hot and dry skin usually accompanies those ones, and once it gets starting to get more serious and progressing, you start feeling dizzy, lightheaded, which might lead to fainting, and that's pretty bad when you faint from heat stroke, because then you might want to start calling paramedics because that could be potentially a bad situation. So in general, if you're ever feeling any of these symptoms, that could be heat stroke. Probably is heat stroke if it's a hot day. I mean, if it's not a hot day and you're feeling any of these, you're probably just sick. I mean, you're not gonna have heat stroke if it's raining and 18 degrees outside. You're probably just sick or something. So that's something different. So you probably want to worry less if you're just feeling nauseous and it's a rainy day. Good. So any questions about symptoms or anything?
What should we do if we feel like that?
Oh, just like I said, immediately tell us, get off, we'll get you off the water, out of the sun, into the shade. Yeah, exactly. So.
Why does it say hot, dry skin? Wouldn't you be sweating perhaps with heat stroke?
No, heat stroke, another symptom is lack of sweating that's why dry skin, because you don't, it's kind of like hypothermia. You stop, instead of, you might think you'd be shivering from hypothermia, but when you get really cold, you stop shivering, and that's a really bad sign. Same with heat stroke, you might not be sweating because your body's losing the ability to cool itself, and that's why you might have hot, dry skin. So that's a symptom. So now we're just going to do a little brainstorming session about ways that you think would help prevent heat stroke, just in general, before you go out on the water, as something you might do, something before going out in the sun. What do you think?
Wear sunscreen.
That's a good one, yeah. Wear sunscreen.
Sorry, I just have a technical question. Is that filming, even if it's not showing?
Yes.
Okay. This is a class question.
Okay.
Sunscreen, yeah.
Drink lots of water.
Yep. Hydration, that's really important. because if you're at a way higher chance of getting heat stroke if you are dehydrated. That's really hard to write on this from this angle.
What about sports drinks like Gatorade and stuff like that?
Those can work, but just water's always better. I mean, electrolytes are good, so they're both pretty good. Yeah, sports drinks. Yeah, they're good. They're good. Stay hydrated.
Okay.
All right. Anything else? Come on.
What about going
Let's
swimming, getting wet? Does that help?
If you're doing it before going out, that's not really gonna help because you're just you're gonna be wet before, and then you might be cool then. But as you go out, you're gonna warm up again, and when you're dry. So that's not exactly a preventative measure. I mean, I guess technically, if it's a really hot day and you have wet clothes, then that could help. But I mean, in general, it's not exactly preventative. I mean, that's something you could do when you start having symptoms, wet yourself.
To treat yourself, but not before.
Yeah.
It's not preventative. Oh,
Yeah.
okay. Okay.
What about wearing a hat?
Yeah, wearing a hat. That's good. It keeps shade on your. That keeps the shade on your face.
And what about
help keep you cool.
long sleeves, long clothes, or just covering your skin?
Yeah, that's good. That's good.
So hat.
There's sun shirts type of things.
Sun shirt, long,
So
sort of. You don't know exactly what pants, but maybe a long Under Armour sort of sports, but loose fitting, so you don't get too hot, but sort of protects your skin from the heat.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
That's good. So that kind of that and sunscreen go together. You're kind of keeping the heat away from your skin, so you're absorbing less heat, and that'll reduce your risk by a lot.
Mm-hmm.
So that's good. That's good. Long clothing.
Mm-hmm. Covering clothing. What else?
Sleeves. Sunscreen, stay hydrated, hat, long sleeves. What else? Sunglasses. That's another one that you.
Oh yeah.
Sunglasses.
Right, yeah,
Sunglasses are good. Keep the sun off your eyes.
And probably polarized sunglasses in particular for the glare.
Yeah.
Is that?
Yeah, because the water, the sun reflects off the water, so that's good too. Sun. Sorry, it's really hard to write from
Do
this
you want us
angle.
to write for you? Would that help?
That's fine. Sunglasses.
All right. Good.
I'm fine. All right. So let's see. Let's go over sunscreen. That's good. That keeps the sun off you. Being sunburned is not good for heat stroke. That you want to not be sunburned because your skin is hot and that's gonna heat you up. And the sunscreen reflects the sun off your skin, so you're absorbing less. Same with long sleeves. You're keeping the sun away from your skin, so you're again absorbing less heat. Staying hydrated. Yeah, being dehydrated definitely skyrockets your chances of having heat stroke. So I'd say that's most important. Staying hydrated and
The
I think
protective
that's
clothing.
that and protective clothing. I think that's we pretty much outlined the preventive measures. Yeah, I think so. No. All right. Now, for the last part, if you ever actually get to the point, I don't know if you didn't do these steps for some reason because you forgot or were careless or something. Now, I'll teach you how to treat heat stroke if it ever gets to that point, and hopefully it doesn't. So, first thing you do if someone is experiencing any of the symptoms of heat stroke is immediately get the person out of the sun. That's pretty obvious, and you don't want if they're having heat stroke, you don't want to start treating them in a place where it's still hot. Preferably, you'd want to get them to a cool place. But if you don't have a particularly cooler place than the shade, then just go to the shade. because that's the only thing available. And after that, you're gonna want to keep them hydrated, give them water, so the body can start to like try and cool itself on the inside. And because if they have heat stroke, they're probably also dehydrated, and so that's definitely very important. And another technique for cooling them, like one of the techniques for cooling them down, like after giving them water, if you want to start like cooling down their internal body temperature, which is important, you like wet their skin with a towel or a sponge, and you can fan air on their like wet skin, because like when it's wet, the cool air they absorb the cool air more, and it cools them down better. And like if you have an ice pack on you, which hopefully you do when someone has heat stroke, you'd apply the ice packs not just anywhere on the body, but like particularly in the armpits and the groin, because those are like there's a lot of blood vessels at the surface, so that's where you're gonna get the most effective cooling like to the body. That's how you're gonna most effectively cool down their core temperature. And also on the neck and the back.
The neck.
Yeah, those have a lot of surface blood vessels. So.
What about those like gel packs that we have sometimes in first aid kits that that you kind of scrunch up to become, so it's not like an ice pack, but when you somehow you get this chemical reaction inside that becomes cool. Are they sort of good things to kind of have in a medical kit?
Yeah, obviously, yeah. If that's in your first aid kit, that's good. Yeah, like you should have one of those, and we do have them in the coach boats. So those are really helpful, and those are good. Those are like ice packs. So yeah, now to finish off and to make sure you've all been listening, we're gonna have a review game. Yay!
Okay.
All right, let's start. So it's kind of gonna be like sort of a trivia thing. You're gonna get points for questions you answer correctly. I'm just gonna ask you questions about what I just taught you, and hopefully you've been listening, and hopefully you should all tie for first.
Okay.
Okay.
All right.
So let's start with Nikki. Name 4 symptoms of heat stroke.
Hot, dry skin.
That's one.
Dehydration. Dehydrated. I don't know.
Yeah, I'll count that.
Okay, nausea.
Yeah.
Like fainting.
Yeah, that's good. All right. 1 point for Nikki.
Okay.
All right. I should probably cover this up.
Hold it.
What?
I'll hold it like this.
Yeah, good. All right.
Okay. Cool.
All right. Mom, can you name, let's see, 3 things that you can do to prevent heat stroke before going out on the water?
Yeah, sunscreen, sunglasses, and a hat, and drink plenty of water. Be hydrated.
Perfect. And finally, Dad, let's see. What is the absolute first thing you do when someone has heat stroke to treat them?
You give them water.
You are wrong!
Oh! Oh!
I know.
Good try.
Can I answer?
Yeah,
Nikki knows.
rock, paper, scissors,
Nikki, you do
straight.
it. Ah!
Alright,
Yes,
Nikki gets
good
to
to
answer.
go.
Get them to a cool place.
Perfect. Get them out of the
Right, okay.
All right,
Good
great
stuff.
class. I think that's great.
Alright, it looks like Nikki won.
Hey,
All right,
very
okay,
good.
better send Dad back to school.
Very good.
Thank you.
Okay, I'll go back to
All
hockey
right.
change camp.
That was the
Okay.
class. I hope you got something out of it. I hope you effectively know how to treat,
And
like,
recognize.
and prevent heat stroke. And you should be experts on the subject now.
Thank you.
Thank you.
For your time.
Great.
14.